Welcome to Cape Breton Movers and Shakers, where we have conversations with people who are doing positive things here in Cape Breton. I'm Richard Lorway, president of goCapeBreton.com, and today I'm talking with Hilary Welsford, founding board member of the Cape Breton Environmental Association in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Welcome, Hilary.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Super. So what is the Cape Breton Environmental Association and what is its mission?
I'm very excited to tell everyone who's listening about us. We are a nonprofit. We're based in the CBRM, and what we do is we go all over the community and we practice environmental awareness through participation and education.
Gotcha. And how long have you been operating?
Unofficially since 2017. We were able to register with the joint stocks of Nova Scotia in March of 2018. So we're actually early next year, we're headed into our 5th year of operation.
Right. So I kind of became aware where you were organizing things like brook cleanups on social media and Facebook and that kind of thing. Is that right?
That is right. When we started out, we were just a group of a couple of people. We did some community cleanups like Tower Road and, Commercial Street, Glace Bay, Charlotte Street, Sydney, some of the main areas that we were really noticing a lot of litter. When we got into brook and stream restoration, that was really when our educational component and the scientific component really started to expand. So when we do these brook cleanups or stream restorations, we usually have a lot of partners involved. And that has to do with, when we're replanting trees in those areas and before we get our boots into those little rivers and streams, because of course there are ecosystems that exist in those areas. We always partner up with the other local organizations such as the CBRM, Parks, ACAP, so on.
Right. So how did you first get involved?
Personally, I saw a photo on Instagram when the first couple of people started out. There might have been 4 or 5 of them or something like that. They posted a picture on Instagram, and it happened to be a mutual longtime friend of mine who posted the photo. So I sent a message, and I had just moved home from a little stint of moving around from Newfoundland, Ontario, stuff like that, checking out Canada. So when I moved home, I was looking for something to do. So when I saw this photo, I had to get involved. I sent a message over, and within a week, I was at the next cleanup.
Gotcha. And you're from Cape Breton, are you?
I was raised in Glace Bay.
Gotcha. So the brook cleanups, typically how many people do you get out, or beach cleanups, those kinds of things?
The really exciting thing is however many people we're expecting, we always get more. So for example, we did one in May of 2018. It was one of our first and biggest cleanups on a shoreline. We did the Big Glace Bay Migratory Bird Sanctuary. Not many people know what that is just by the title, but actually the location is the end of Lake Road in Glace Bay. It's kind of like attached to Big Glace Bay Beach. So we thought we were going to have about 9-10 people, just because it's a popular area people have been walking through. We ended up with about 35 people. And that's typically what we tend to get, especially when it's, Ocean's Day or when it's a nice summer day with a nice breeze. We'll get a lot of people who are just there and they want to get involved, especially through social media sharing.
Right. So how important is social media to your organizing activities?
It's pretty important, honestly, because a lot of our volunteers are like mutual friends or their community members who are just actively volunteering wherever they can get volunteer opportunities. So we do have, myself, I've been involved. I bring my sister along, she lets a friend know, or Dylan, especially our president, his whole family has been involved either throughout the entire existence of our organization or parts throughout. They've been a major help too. So on social media, we really get to send our message to the people who care about us, therefore they care about our cause.
Right. So the association, does it, apart from the board of directors, does it have members, and who would those members be?
We certainly do. We have loads of volunteer members. They are from all over Cape Breton Island, which is really exciting. And the age of them actually ranges from about 7 years old up to, we had a volunteer who was 97 years old at one of our tree planting events. So it's really quite diverse. Of course, with children under 18 years old, because of the liability, we expect them to be accompanied by their parents, and that's pretty much it. But really, we've had at least 100 or more different volunteers from all over Cape Breton Island who are involved for different things. You know, some people really like to be part of our beach cleanups. Other people participate solely in fundraising activities, things like that.
Okay. So most of your activities that I've seen have been around the CBRM. Are you expanding more widely than that?
We have been as far as, you know, Irish Cove, Shetty Camp area, things like that. We
Right.
really are a Breton-based organization, and although a lot of our volunteers are from the Sydney, Glace Bay, Dominion type area, we have had volunteers from, you know, East Bay and farther. And when we visit these communities, that's typically when we get to meet them and engage with them. And that's the goal, is to, like, we're currently looking for more volunteers. We want our reach to be, you know, on every shoreline in Cape Breton Island.
Gotcha. So cleanups are what you're kind of known for. Are you involved in other types of projects? Are you lobbying? Are you doing those kinds of things as well?
Yeah, so apart from the cleanups, we have a science committee, and they typically do our educational and awareness campaigns or programs and events and things like that. So one thing that they really are excited about that they started to launch this year, last year we partnered with CBU, like Cape Breton University. So this year we were able to gather our own gear and put on kick netting workshops. So the science committee, they do things like this. They go and they've done Girl Guide workshops. We visited college, you know, Nova Scotia Community College in the Strait area campus. We've participated in some of their events where they were trying to bring in their very first composting project for the very first time in the community, which was exciting. So we worked with the mayor of Port Hawkesbury at the time. We've also had our hand in changing the bylaws from the littering bylaw was before, you know, it might have been like under $100. Sorry, with numbers, I'm not.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not totally on board, but the fine used to be something like $100 or $75 or something if you were caught littering. We participated through submitting our reports and submitting our data to the communities and to the people who have their hands right in, you know, the politicians and these people. And now we got to see the bylaw change for littering from, like I said, $100 and some dollars up to $800. It's close to $900 for each offense now. So that's kind of the scientific and the educational side that we really like to get involved in, especially when we're sharing facts. And we have been working also on a documentary for the past couple of years. It's still in the works. We worked with Waves Media on this, and that was to highlight the ghost gear in Atlantic Canada.
Right.
So we've,
Fishing
other
gear.
than, like I said from the start, our mission is really to spread this environmental awareness, not just through participation, but through education as well. So that's where we see the science side of things. We do data collection. We submit our reports to Parks Canada, the Nova Scotia Fishing Coalition Association, things like that. So our data, we're collecting it in the interest of our organization. However, we make it a priority to share that information and to take part in the initiatives that other local organizations are doing.
Right. Okay. So single-use plastics. This is something that concerns me personally, and you know, I've sort of been a good little recycler for many years, but now I understand that there's really no solution for single-use plastics in terms of most of it is not recycled. Is that accurate?
Richard, yes, and what I totally agree with you that it's a personal this is a personal issue for me as well. Not just for Cape Breton Environmental Association. So with single-use plastics, you're right. They cannot be broken down. The worst thing about them is, on top of not being able to reuse them and recycle them, they break down into what we call microplastics. And microplastics become tiny little pieces that embed themselves. I like to say they embed themselves in into our environment and our ecosystems. So, you know, we're in Atlantic Canada, we're in Glace Bay, we're a fishing community. You know, so we have litter. That's a huge issue. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of activity working against that.
Right.
So the microplastics are making their way, as far as single-use plastics go, they're making their way into our oceans and therefore into our fish, into our lobsters, into our watersheds, these things. So not only can we not reuse them, but they are breaking down. The actual plastic is breaking down into tinier pieces. So it makes it harder to collect them, harder to clean them, and harder to collect that data.
Right. So in a way, it's making the way into the food chain, is what you're saying.
It sure is. And that's only one of the issues that we should have, that all of us should have with single-use plastics, is that, yeah, we will be consuming this if we're not already. I don't personally eat seafood myself, but I imagine we've seen it in California, we've seen it in British Columbia, that like a percentage of their, you take a fish, a percentage of that is actually plastic. If you need one really good excuse to be against single-use plastics, that's one of them. If you're going to buy your fish in a single-use plastic container, you, in a couple of years, you're going to want to be, rest assured there's going to be plastic inside your fish as well, not just on the outside.
Gotcha.
That's,
Yeah.
if you need to be convinced, there's one reason there. But if it just comes down to making a personal choice, if you want to do better, you can always choose between, buying, if you're somebody who likes to drink, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, things like that, instead of buying the plastic, you can buy aluminum cans. They can be broken down and reused many, many, many times. So it really is easy. It doesn't have to be buying $100 worth of glass jars and going to a bulk barn every 3 days. It doesn't need to be like that. So for the people who are out there listening, who do like both of us, and like Cape Breton Environmental, who are trying to get the word out there about single-use plastics, there are other alternatives there. And most importantly, yeah, like these plastics are bad for our environment. They're bad for us.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you mentioned earlier you're looking for volunteers for these various projects and activities. So how do people get involved?
They can reach out to us on Facebook or on our website. We have a volunteer member application that comes right through to us when we are out in the community, especially when it's a litter cleanup or an educational event. You can join right in with us. We just take like your name, your phone number, just so that we, especially now with, contact tracing and things like this that are going on,
Right.
we just want to know your name, your age, your address, just so that we can get in touch with you for just basically logistical reasons and things like that, or in case we want to invite you to future events. We also have email list and an email newsletter that people can sign up for. That's on our website as well. And whenever we have events coming up, we always like to send out an email blast to let everybody know what's going on, so that if you wanted to get involved, you could get involved that way as well. So you don't need to be on Facebook necessarily. You don't need to be one of our Facebook friends to find out. We often will, put posters around the community, or like I said, these email blasts are pretty great and convenient. You can shut them off when you want to,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had one message for people with regards to the environment, one takeaway from today, what would it be?
My takeaway would be this: everybody, no matter if you're an indoor person or an outdoor person, there is a part of the environment that you are benefiting from personally. There's one major part of your life that's affected. So whether, you might always stay inside, but you have a dog. So, you don't want people out in the community littering on your property or throwing your cigarette butts, for example. So you can take one small issue that you have, whether it be shorelines, if you're a beach lover and you're on the beach and you're always seeing this litter, you don't need to be part of a group. You don't need to post pictures, even if you don't like that type of attention, or if you're somebody who doesn't like to brag about something good that you're, some people have a hold up about bragging about something good that they're doing. So it really can be a very small impact. Overall, it makes a very large difference. So one person, like Richard, you're one person, you said you're against single-use plastics. I am as well. Probably 5 years ago when I gave up, or 6 years ago now, gave up like single-use water bottles. I'm a huge water drinker. I've personally saved thousands of water bottles personally. Those would have never broken down in a landfill. So one person, you really can make a major difference. And even if you're not an outdoorsy, you don't need to be a hiker, a swimmer, anything like that. There is a part of the environment that you can fight for.
Super. All right. Listen, well, thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, anytime. And hopefully, folks, if you guys are out at the Santa Claus parades, we're definitely going to be in the Glace Bay parade. Sorry, we're waiting on dates from Sydney. So hopefully they'll announce their dates and you'll see us there too.
Super. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Richard.
I've been speaking with Hilary Welsford, founding board member of the Cape Breton Environmental Association in Sydney, Nova Scotia, and we'll see you next time on Cape Breton Movers and Shakers.